Normally what happens in a traditional process, and Shubham, is part of this world, so you can, add in whatever you need, is you've got to create brand. You've got to create brand, which basically means you go through your marketers, your critics, your gallerists, your schmoozing, all of that stuff, right? Because without that, your brand does not command attention. And if your brand doesn't command attention, you're not going to have many bidders for it. The value that your artwork can achieve or your creation can achieve is less, so on and so forth.
Hey guys, well, glad to have you today here with me. I've been trying to do this for a while now. Yeah, I'm happy to have you guys here. Quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Trades, and I'll give you guys a minute each to introduce yourselves. So,
I'll go first. I'm James Ishant. I'm the acting CEO of Loot NFT. I'm super excited about this project that brings together, fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, especially from a blockchain perspective, and very glad to be here. Thanks for having us, Ishant.
Pleasure's mine.
Hey, Ishant, thank you so much for having us. Excited to chat with you today about the project. But my name is Lance Baker. I'm the acting chief operating officer for Loot NFT and the owner of Loot Pool, a Cardano staking pool. And we're really excited about this particular project. We really believe it has a strong chance to be truly disruptive in the NFT space. So appreciate you having us.
Thank you, Ishant. Yes, my name is Shubham Hanuman, and I'm head of creations and arts for Loot NFT. And it's a very big honor to be part of this great team, and especially what we have achieved so far. Let's hope for the best. Yeah.
Cool. Well, like I said, glad to have all of you guys on board. It's pretty hard to kind of get all you guys at the same time, but yeah, just to give some context to everything here. For the people that are listening to us. So basically, James came to me and talked to me about Loot NFT towards the end of April. I'd say that 28, 29. So basically about a month exactly ago. When he talked to me about Loot NFT for the first time, I was mesmerized basically. So when he talked to me, he was like, okay, I'll tell you the basics, and then you start asking me questions. I started asking questions, but this thing had so many layers that I had to tell James, you know what, give me the night. I'll have to sleep on it and think about it even more, because it's not something that can easily be talked about in one day if you want to really dig deep. So yeah, actually James had told me briefly about it. It was like, okay, I need to talk to you about Loot NFT in March. And then he was tight-lipped for a month, until April when we talked, because I guess he was working his magic then. In April, after we talked, I was so impressed and so inspired that I ended up writing a book about it. So, and I published it last week on, as you guys know, on Amazon. And quickly here, I'll just show the book so people can follow along better. There we go. I mean, actually, so that's the Loot NFT website, which looks amazing. That's what I think. And down here, you can get all the documentation that you need. And that's the book. Wait a second. There we go. That's the book. It's called Become a Legend, the Loot NFT Super Player and Super Trader Guide. And it's a quick read. It's cheap, so
yeah, I saw that as well. Regret it. Yeah, it says 86 pages, which was quite impressive when I actually first saw it. I can't say I read all of it, but I saw some of the lines. I'm okay with most of it. There's some parts in there where I think you drilled a lot deeper in terms of strategy. Like almost like a white hat hacker, really. But
unintended consequences, probably.
Yeah, unintended consequences is something that probably wouldn't have put in there, but that's my that's my overview from it. But really absolutely amazing that I see that somebody's has taken the time to actually write a book about what we're doing before we even launched. I think that must be a first, right, Les?
No, I actually purchased the paperback and read it. So just a fantastic output in a short period of time. It's a great book. I think those people who are intrigued by the platform, it's a must-have for sure.
Thank you. Coming from you guys, it's definitely good credit. Well, that's great. So let's move on today. James, you're going to be showing me the screens of the platform because you guys have gone so far and it's almost ready. And you'll basically, by next week, it's going to be ready for the restricted period where a specific group of people can actually play around with the platform with Playbun. So it's basically a beta test. So take it away, James. Let's see it.
Thanks. I think first things first, maybe some background information as to how I even got involved in the project. I've been in the blockchain space since early 2014, right? I was very fortunate to have learned about Bitcoin, in late 2013. And once I understood what Bitcoin was about, well, understood is a strong word because it's still, in my view, somewhat of an experimentation, even though it's over 11 years old. The reality is, I was so fascinated by the blockchain technology that I started working in the space and built Sutton Stone with my business partner Adam Richard, and all of this sort of experience and history brought me to to what we're doing here with Loot NFT, and you can see various facets of the understanding, both from a technological perspective, but also from a user perspective and societal perspective, all comes in wrapped into Loot NFT. And Loot NFT started really with Lance. When was that, Lance? Like early March, I think.
March 7th.
March 7th, right? You still have that noted.
Well.
So Lance called me up and he said, I've been thinking about, auction, and Lance, from your background, you had been in the auction space previously with another platform, and so I knew Lance's exposure to this and that it was serious at the time. He was you had been running the loot pool for a little while then, and I think you were the top 10 or something staking pool by revenue in the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, very fortunate there.
Yeah, so he calls me up and I'm like, yeah, okay. And we had been talking over the months, and I said, yeah, okay, let me have a look at it. Let me have a think about it. And I can't remember when I called you back, but it would have been something in mid-March.
Yeah, it was around a week to 10 days later. And I was shocked how you took a very general idea and already had a very detailed business model for it. I was blown away.
So wait, let me take that. Let's take a step back real fast. So March 7th, you were contacted. March 15th, you got back to Lance with
some stuff.
With some stuff.
I think like what I was, at the time. So I have a family investment company that I run. So I look at different sort of ventures, what to back, etc. It's quite new. We're very recent. And at the time I was doing a bunch of other things. So, I had competing interests, etc. And I was sort of thinking about it for about a week. And I think something happened. And I can't pinpoint what it was, Lance, but something happened where I was like, hang on a second. This could actually solve a bunch of different problems. And it was, I don't want to get into the technicals, but it was in terms of combining a limited token with a time-locked wallet and non-fungible tokens all together. And for some reason, there was a link. And that's when I called Lance and I said, all right, man, let's get this show on the road. Let's do it. that's how really it started. And I think it was about 15th, or I was looking, Lance, I was looking at the incorporation of the company, and it was late March. So that's when all of the stuff started coming in together, and really quickly.
It took you less than a month to incorporate the company. As soon as it was incorporated, you contacted me and you talked to me. You told me briefly about. You didn't really say anything at that point.
I was
and then
on
a month
board
later,
at that point.
right? And then a month later, you come to me, and then you had already all the documentation ready, the white paper, the booklet, the FAQs. That's really impressive. That's really, really impressive.
Thank you.
Well, Ishant, March 15th was the last night that James had a full night of sleep.
Yeah, I think all of us, I think the whole team just brought together, and we're a little bit like Ocean's 11, you know, especially in the terms of what we do and how we do business at my investment company. And what we have is we've got those people that we've done business, have a good relationship with around the world effectively, and you know, and it's basically about getting those people back together and then just working the magic and bringing it on. So it was really an interesting process of getting, you know, at least the resources and the skills that we needed as part of this, and get it, you know, and just churning and getting it ready. And I think Shubham, I think some days you didn't even sleep.
Yeah. I mean, most of us. So yeah, that's it.
So anyway, sometimes around.
I mean, this will all pay off. This will all pay off big time, because after I dug in and when I was writing the book, I went down the rabbit hole, and this thing has the potential to, first, what I see that is the most impressive is, first, it's gonna really create value, basically kind of out of nothing for creators. And it's basically a new kind of business. It's a new type of business being invented. And I'll stop there, because otherwise we'll dive into the rabbit hole right now.
Yeah, and then we'll never get out, right?
Right, exactly.
But the interesting thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. We're all business people, so what we know is that we can put 100% of our effort and do everything that we can in order for it to be, you know, what we think it can be. But you know, I'm reminded of the man plans and God laughs, right? Like, so you never really know. So from that perspective, you know, I drive back to, you know, end of March, and I think there was a call that I gave to you, Lance, and I'm like, hey, I think we should patent part of this, you know, part of this ecosystem. And it took us about 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days, I can't remember, to just bring all of the bits and pieces together and lodge the provisional patent for it. And then after that, it's just been crunching, right? Like it's just been really, really a lot of grunt work. And now we're at a point where we can see the finish end and the finish line, at least for that first stage. And it's been 2.5 months. And from that, I think the reality is, for us, we're patient business people, but we also understand market dynamics. And where I personally come in is, I really want to see this experienced by others, right? Like, and I think that's the icing on the cake for me. How about? I mean, I don't know. Maybe Lance would like to add some stuff to that, but that's where I'm at.
No, I think when you see something you put so much time and effort and collective brain power in, see it come to life, and see people actually engaging in the platform the way you thought they would, and the way we've seen some of these game mechanics engaged before in the past by users, especially in a special market like the NFT space. This is going to be a fun ride for sure. Yeah,
we're looking forward to it. So yeah, Ishant, if you want, I can start drilling down, and you stop me whenever that thing is, right? And
can't wait.
The first part, what, like at the onset, what I have to say is, what the user sees at the front is like the tip of the iceberg. What's underneath it all is a monstrous, complex sort of interlinking that is never really exposed to the user. So it's a little bit like Google, right? Like there's a lot of things going on in the Google search engine that you don't see, and you just see one box. So whatever we're going to talk about, you can see the front side of it, which should be very straightforward and simple. But then when you start asking the question and drilling down into the mechanics of things, that's when things become really, really interesting. I had the same experience with Bitcoin, right? At the front, I always like Andreas Antonopoulos, magic internet money, right? And when you actually got through it, it's like this thing is never ending as you peel the layers of the onion. So what I want to show is, we'll start with. So the screen that you showed before, Ishant, was the screen that we have right now. So that's going to be replaced on the 1st of July with what you're seeing here, okay? And, we've got a bunch of different partners that we brought together. This is especially the sort of first look at how it looks like. It looks very gamey, etc. But it's a very serious platform behind in the back end. It's just abstracted away from people. So
impressive graphics, I would say.
Thanks. I mean, that's Shubham's department, right?
Shubham's expertise.
Yeah, that's what my input in there. Yeah, it's try to get the feel of a gaming field. So although we try not to make it too gamey in terms of the visuals, right, James?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. That's right.
And I think you guys did a pretty great job there.
And we've got a bunch of things like, all of these pages, etc. Like, the stuff that those that actually want to drive deep into this, they can. One of the things with us is, so you can see we've got the patent pending here from the USPTO. We're also a member of the Wyoming Auctioneers Association. And, we've done the things that we thought were important to do in terms of running a business like a business should be run effectively. So I'll just go directly to this screen, right? And this is what we call the arena. And please stop me, Ishant, if you want to drive down, etc. I'll just explain. I'll just show you a few things. What we call the arena is where all of the auctions for NFTs are going to happen. One of the things is that the arena can have up to 40 auctions at any point in time. If it's not in the arena, the auctions are queued up in the upcoming space, right? So as one auction finishes, the upcoming, the first in line in the upcoming sort of section takes its place, so that there's always 40 within the arena, okay? Obviously, you can drill down, you can search your NFTs, etc. Here, one of the things I have to say is that this is a demo site. So obviously, all of these will be different, right? Like all of these NFTs, etc. It's not. We don't call it specifically on the art. We call it creations, because there's different types of NFTs you can have. You can have, artwork as an NFT, sculptures, specific moments, videos, audio, but all of these NFTs are completed products. So there's nothing more to be added to it. Once it's done, it's completed, and it's final, right? So here I'll just explain some of the dynamics, and Lance or Shubham, please feel free to jump in. But effectively, we use a token of limited supply, which is called the bid unit, or the buns for short. And there is 500 million total tokens that will ever be created. Okay, so immediately this is a little bit different from most auction platforms, which have no limited supply, right? Which basically means you can print out as many as you want, and that also gives you an impression of, hey, once all those tokens are sold, what happens within the ecosystem. It should engender those sorts of conversation. But for now, I'll just explain the auction card, and we can now drill in a little bit further. So every person that joins Loot NFT is required to have some buns, or the bid units, and they bid one bun at a time by pressing the bid now button. Okay, so what that means is you cannot you cannot bid 50 buns or 100 buns. You can just bid one at a time. You can't outbid yourself. And once the twist here is, once this timer here gets to 15 seconds, if a bid is received in the last 15 seconds, it resets the timer to 15 seconds. Okay, so all the auctions are time limited, and as it times down, it gets to 15 seconds. Ishant, you bid one, it resets the timer back to 15 seconds. Right. So presumably you could have an auction that lasts maybe hours, maybe days. We have absolutely no idea.
And you could have a guy come in at the last second, bid one bun, and win the whole thing.
Yes, that's
very
correct.
Unlikely, but
yeah, that's very unlikely,
possible.
But that is correct. So here I'll just explain, so every time you bid, it just increments this here, and the timer goes down. If you're a bidder, it will show your username when you bid, right? And one of the things that we have is you can set a bid bot if you're away or whatever, and it'll bid on your behalf. Here you've got the title and shameless plug for Shubham here on all our demos right now. It's his name.
I'm out there.
Yeah, I'll explain what a set name is, and here is obviously the description of what the NFT is about. The creators link, the provenance information is the NFT address in the blockchain. And we can drill down in blockchain stuff later on if you need. And the more information include the certificate of authority from the, authenticity, not authority, certificate of authenticity from the artist, direction for us to sell that on auction on their behalf. And any other additional information that doesn't fit in those two lines describing the work. We do have in this box right here, we do have a way to set the amount for the users to set the amount of how many buns they would like to bid on a particular auction. And every time they bid, it will decrement that amount. So say, for example, you've got 10,000 buns in your wallet, but you are only willing to do 5,000 here. You can set that, you allocate it, and once it reaches zero, you can top up, or you can say, that's enough for me. If you clear it, whatever buns have been used, obviously, is gone, right? Because one thing that I should explain probably is that this is a pay-to-bid styled auction, which basically means that if you bid once, you effectively spend that bun. You don't, whether you get the NFT or whether you don't get the NFT, that bun is spent. So if you say, for example, have bid one out of this and it gets to 4,999, you clear it, the 4,999 will go back to your account. So far, so good?
So far, so good.
Yeah, okay. So here, these two little things is the last thing that I will show is this is a relisted item. So each NFT on auction with us can be relisted. And if the NFT also is linked to a physical item, it's going to have a P here, right? So some NFTs are digital only, and other NFTs are digital and physical. So for example, a sculpture, that would be a physical item, and a digital item as well, because it's represented by an NFT. Lance, do you want add anything to that, or did I miss some stuff?
I see the bid box.
One thing I'll point out about the bid bot is for those people on mobile devices, or for those people who just can't sit and stare at a screen, it is going to be used heavily to be able to allocate a certain number of buns and have it, because that last 15 seconds of the auction, like you say, could go minutes, hours, days, weeks, and having that bid bot is going to be heavily used by the users. And so that bid bot, you can see there on the screen, anything that's indicated by a bot next to it as in the battle pit indicates who's using a bid bot. And so you can see strategically when you should bid, who you should bid against, whether you should use a manual bid, a bid bot, all those things that you've outlined in your book tie into the mechanics on the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. There's so many strategies that you can use in relation to those bid bots, like manually bidding real fast while still having a bid bot in to kind of throw people off. This in itself is a whole science. I think this is not just a game; it's a game science that's involved.
Yeah, skill for sure.
Yeah. The other thing I think that I should mention is whenever you bid, it increments here, and what happens at the end, at the conclusion of the auction, is that this gets converted into a cryptocurrency called USDC, which is a USD pegged cryptocurrency. And the creator actually gets a share of that, right? Because they're effectively putting their item on auction. So that's how we calculate how much the NFT goes for, right? Like, so you do that conversion. Here's another twist in this. Remember that I was saying that this is a token of limited supply. What effectively can happen is that as people are bidding, all of these buns, well, not effectively can happen, it happens. All of these buns are trapped in that auction until the auction concludes, right? Like you wrote about this in your book,
right,
where the circulating supply of those tokens therefore diminished over time, which basically means at some point, somewhere, somebody is going to get that NFT. Right. So if we each one have one left in the ecosystem, Shubham bids one, he's out of the game because there's only 5 tokens in out there in circulating supply. You bid next, and Lance bid next, and I'm the last one to come in and bid, and that's the last token out there. It effectively gets me the NFT because the timer then expires, because there's no more buns to reset that timer. And immediately thereafter, these buns get sent to what we call the oven. Get the pun, right? Buns go to the oven. The oven is another time-locked wallet, which basically waits there until it distributes back to the ecosystem for reuse. And I'll tell you how that's done.
And that's D-Day, right?
That's if all of the buns are stuck before in that oven before it redistributes, and the time it redistributes is Sunday, then there is no bun on the platform. There is no ability to bid on anything. Everyone has to wait.
Everyone's just sitting, waiting for everything to have waiting for the oven to redistribute.
That's right. And when the oven redistributes, it redistributes 20% back to members, pro rata how many buns they've bid within the ecosystem, and 80% back to Loot NFT to resell so that we can restart the auction process. So every Sunday, this oven opens up. But if auctions are still there, it's trapped in the auction. Once the auction concludes, it goes into the oven. The oven opens, 20% goes back to the to members as rewards based on how much they bid, and 80% comes back to us. Sounds good? Anything else? Like, I mean, you wrote a book about it, right? So anything else that I forgot?
I think you're pretty on spot right now, and I think let's not dive too deep, otherwise we'll never finish this call.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's cool. So I'll just go. I wanted to explain this because there's a lot of mechanics that are going on here, and then we can just go to the other stuff. Like, one thing which is really interesting is this. So what we have is, before you join an auction, there is an auction fee to pay, right? And that fee is very small at the start and increases throughout time. So the auction fee right now is 5 buns to join, and then you get a seat at the table and you can start your 1 bun at a time kind of bidding. But every 6 hours, it sort of increases, right? Every 6 hours and before the timer ends, and then go into extra time, it increases, it doubles.
Right. So the first 6 hours before the auction ends is when the first doubling happens, right? So
Correct.
during the last 6 hours of the auction, that's when it's 10 buns to join. And the auction launches, everyone's bidding one bud at a time. And then every 6 hours that goes by, it doubles again. That's called a paywall, right?
That's a paywall, right? And it doubles and doubles and doubles. And very quickly, it starts pricing out latecomers. And very quickly, it locks them out from participating in that auction. So it pays to be early. It seeds the auction with participants very early. And it allows a subset of the member group that were early to basically continue with the bidding while locking everyone else, latecomers, out.
Right. So basically that ensures that someone who hasn't paid for a seat at the table just comes by 2 days after the auction has been live and just sees that it's worth 2 million buns and he goes, oh, you know what? I'll join now. No, well, guess what? You can't really do that unless you spend a lot of buns.
One other thing I'll mention too, Ishant, is people would wait until everybody that's currently in the auction uses all their bids and then join. And so the gamification or the mechanics that go in just a simple thing like joining the auction, when to join, how to join, how much they should join with, that's a game within the game of itself. And so it's a brilliant piece that's been added.
Like I said in the book, it's a game within a game within a game. It's like Inception.
Okay, I'll just move on really quickly. One of the things that also we've implemented is we're a members only site, which means that you need to be invited to come in, which is why the landing page that you see here says, you can pre-register in an open membership sign up until 30 June. After that, you must be invited. So this is the only period that we have where anyone can come in and join up, really. And after that, you must be invited to come in. So the way that we do this is you have a whitelisted email address at sign up, which is here. Oh, let me just do this, which is here. You enter the
by the way.
Huh?
Only 33 days to go.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So you enter your email address here. You obviously agree to our term and you press sign up. We've spent a lot of time on the onboarding process to make it as simple as possible. So when you sign up, you get an OTP, an email OTP. So you go to your email, you enter that in, you choose your username, your password and the country, and boom, let's go. One of the things that we have is this little thing here is you'll be prompted to buy buns if you don't have any. It takes you through a buns purchase page. You buy those buns and immediately you can get to your wallet account, right? And in the wallet account, you'll see how many buns you have. I'm not going to really go deep into deposit and send because two things that's cryptocurrency wallets, etc., might be a little bit difficult to understand. But you can see your buns here. See that thing that I said previously right here, when you allocate, a certain amount of buns for a particular auction, it will tell you how many you have allocated to an auction. And this off-platform thing, we'll probably just leave it till later because that has to do with extracting buns from our platform to your own custody, which is a cryptocurrency wallet. Here we talk.
Interesting part that I talked about in my book.
And I know we don't really necessarily want to talk about those outside transfers because for us, what's tremendously important is that people find the value that we're creating good, and that they get engagement from the platform. So we talked about the oven. At any point in time, you'll see how many buns are in the oven before it actually distributes every Sunday. You've got your transaction history here. The basic wallet. Telling you exactly how much you have and what your transactions were. There's, if you used an account before, this is no different. Here, the Loot Vault, which is really interesting, is that any NFTs sold on our platform gets like, I remember telling you that, you know, the bonds get converted to USD, the USDC, the cryptocurrency. So every transaction is actually listed in the Loot Vault, which is a transaction history of all the NFTs that's been sold on the platform. Like profile is
just to clarify there, that conversion was not the actual conversion, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a dummy that we have currently for display purposes. And here, I mean, if you know your profile, like, I mean, it's got, you know, your email settings, and, you know, it's got some interesting stuff where you can invite members, right? So the way that we do invite members is, if I had to invite you, Ishant, I would just do Ishant at Ayatrades, right? And I would whitelist you. Then I can tell you, Ishant, you can sign up. We don't send any emails off the platform to you, to your referrer, or to your invitee, I should say. You just have to tell them that you're now invited to it, right? Like we you know, we're very privacy conscious, etc. And we don't send any emails to anyone unless they've had their preferences done. If everything is off, you won't hear from us. Sounds good?
So far, everything looks really intuitive and easy to use, and that's impressive for a platform that's so intricate.
Yeah, thank you. So here you can see, this is the upcoming section. I talked about how there's, that's him. Like, I mean, he can't get enough from plastering all of his artwork on. He's getting some advertising here, but what happens is, as I said, you can only have 40 in the arena where you bid, and anything else goes in line, right? Like, so first in line, I should say second in line, third in line, so on and so forth. So once one of those NFTs auctions conclude, the next in line goes through. So far, good, right? So far, so good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here is my watch list. Watch list is like a favorite section, if you wish, and you can put anything in your watch list. So if something is awaiting to go to the arena, so it'll say, you know, X amount in line. If something in there has already been sold and it's in your watch list, it'll say it's sold for here. And if something is still live, it'll show that it's still live, right? So we've got like 3 states: 1 that's in the queue, 2 that's been sold, and 3 that's actually currently on auction. The next screen, well, that's pretty much it, right? Like, I think we've gone through the entire platform right now, and the main one that people focus on is this. So when they come in, the process is actually very streamlined. They come in, their email addresses need to be whitelisted. They buy the bonds, they go into the auction, they start bidding. Right. One thing that I didn't show, and I don't know why I don't have it here, is the My NFTs page. But I'll stop here, and, you know, if Lance can, I'll try to find that page, and if Lance can answer any of your questions while I find that page, I can reshare my screen. Just give me a second.
Let's leave some stuff for the users to actually see and experience themselves firsthand.
Yeah, no, that's right. Lance, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I thought was really interesting, the concept that we were bringing to the NFT space that I've never seen, was being able to take a physical piece and make it an NFT through the blockchain is really, really cool. But also being able to take custody of a physical piece in our physical vault called Loot Vault, and putting it in a fully insured, climate controlled vault to remain in our custody is a really, really cool piece I've never seen before. And so, James, maybe you can expand on why we decided to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I was just trying to find the My NFTs page really quickly as well, but I'll
the sets also. The sets and the theme.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get into that. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to go for, but I think once you've gone through the platform and know it as intimately as the team does, it kind of really, you know, you kind of go into a lot of different directions because there's so many different layers depending on who you're talking to. And I'm taking this opportunity here to basically give information in a way that people can see it visually and hear it from us rather than from a document. No one likes to read, really, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I will address the vault. There's two issues with physical pieces that are linked to the NFTs. One is who has that physical piece. Let's just say you've got a painting, right? Shubham's done an amazing painting, and he's got it there. It's physical, and there's an NFT that grants the right of ownership to that painting, right? Like that's I bought the NFT because I want to get the painting. The problem is, let's just say I transfer that NFT to you. How do you know that the painting that Shubham gave me is the one that I gave you? Right? How do you know that it's not fake? How do you know? So you've got an issue in terms of provenance there. I mean, I can provide you all the certificate of authenticity that Shubham gave you, etc. But you're still not sure. The other thing as well is, say you buy that NFT from me, right? Which grants you that right, and I never send you the physical item, right? Like now you've got what we call a split between the digital and the physical. Mm-hmm. Right. And at that point, does that NFT lose value? Does that NFT, is it whole again? Right. So you don't know. So a solution to this, as we've seen with the Banksy, with the Banksy burning, is people burning the physical art piece. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's insane. Right, burning a physical piece just so that the unique NFT out there is represented as the only and sole representation of the work is kind of insane to me. But that's my personal view. So what we decided to do was that when we have a physical piece, Lance has said we've got an underground vault in the United States where we take physical custody of the piece. And we also custody the NFT at the front, right? And while the auctions are happening, it's in our custody. We're almost like, I don't want to say this, but we're almost like a Coinbase kind of thing where we're representing that we hold the physical item in custody. So you can be sure that whatever we hold is the item. If you decide to transfer that NFT off our platform, say, send it to Ethereum or whatever other blockchain that you have, you then have 90 days to pick up that physical item, right? Because it costs us obviously to custody an item, and I don't know how big those items are going to be, etc. But it's space and space cost. So what we're saying is, while it's in our custody, you can transfer and do whatever you need to do with it. But once you've transferred it off of our platform, that NFT, then you're responsible to pick up that NFT. And what happens afterwards, is yours to deal with. That makes sense?
And what's interesting also about this part is it does something interesting to the sets and the different strategies that can be used to play the game.
I know you want to get there.
Right. It's like I talk about these in the book. There's the Sucker Punch, the Fallen, the Three Musketeers. There's so many things, so many names. We name them, and I think these really. I spent like a good 2-3 days just on these.
So just to break into that section, I found this NFT page, right? So this is my NFT page, which I know you want to get there in terms of what it is, etc. So each NFT on Loot NFT is unique, one of one, and part of a themed set or collectibles of a set of 5, right? So we got 5 NFTs. And each one of them, again, unique. Okay. If you collect 3 out of 5, you get what we call a status level on Loot NFT, and that's called a degree, right? And you can see how many degrees you've got. You can go all the way up to 5 degrees. So you collect 3 out of 5 in a set, you get a degree. 3 out of 5 in another set, you get another degree, go so on and so forth, right?
And if you get to the 5th degree, you basically become a legend on the platform.
Yes, that's
why
exactly
the book is
right.
called Become a Legend.
Yeah, that's right. And 5th degree, I think at that point for us, we'll probably enshrine your name in some sort of artwork that Shubham can do.
Right.
and maybe even
I'll work on that.
and maybe even have the a set just for the 5th degrees, right? Like with that is
That's
whoever is a 5th degree,
Right.
you could basically provide that, right? So what does a degree grant you? Is you remember that I was talking about when you play or when you bid, you get rewarded by the oven, the 20% by the oven. And that 20% is weighted differently for you so that you get more rewards, more bun rewards than you would have otherwise have had without that degree. And each degree increases that amount of rewards that you get out because you're obviously, a player, etc.
And that's an exponential increase, right? It's not a linear increase, not 10%, 20%.
No. So it's 10, 20, 40, 70, 10, 20, 40, 70, 110, right? So it rises up quite significantly. The other thing as well is that if you collect, say, a set of 5 out of 5, you get what we call a mystery gift, and we have a way, a part of a pool that is allocated to that mystery gift. And what that is we can contact the person that's collected those 5 sets of NFTs and find out exactly what's going on with them and tailor something of a mystery gift that actually suits them. All right, they're mostly non-monetary rewards. Obviously, everything has a monetary sort of perspective to it, but it's mostly about what is more important to that person at that particular point in time, and that's why it's called a gift, right? It's not cash, right? You don't just get cash. Like we ask you what you want. So
let me. I know if you're gonna tell me it's a mystery gift, so I can't really tell you, but I'm guessing it could be something like, let's say someone has health bills they need to pay, or like student loans or stuff like that, right?
Your guess is as good as mine, right? It's a mystery gift, and all I can tell you is we've got a pool. We've got a pool that has a certain amount of money allocated for those mystery gifts, right? And we can decide on a per person basis what that is. It's purely discretionary upon us, and the value that it provides to the person that achieves a mystery gift. Lance, you want to say anything, Lance or Shubham, in here? I feel I've been speaking. I think this is like a one-on-one conversation.
But I'd like to add. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they prefer to hear Australian accent, James.
Yeah, Shubham, you said.
Yeah, I mean, the story that was told at the start was very overwhelming, and trying to really do something that's complex and put it out there simple was really what the work behind so far. So yeah, I think what it is visually right now is very direct, and if someone goes through the platform, basically in no time he can really get to know what's the platform is about.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, Ishant, that I'm glad that Shubham brought this up. That's one of the things that I found when I started when I started bidding on the staging environment that we have. We had written a lot of things, and there's a lot of complexity underneath the platform. But when I went in, the simplicity of it just struck me. There's the arena page, and there is the wallet page, which is basically everyone knows about. There's the profile page and the My NFTs page. So within a few minutes, without even knowing anything about it, you're actually on there. What we're talking about is
the different interactions that are possible.
Yeah, the different interactions that are, which basically gives you a primer, instead of reading it. That's the way that I'm approaching this right now. But here's the thing. You've got 5 sets of NFTs, 5 NFTs in a set, and you achieve 3 out of 5. You get a degree, 5 out of 5, you get a mystery gift. The problem happens is, not a problem, but the gamified perspective is almost like a card game, if you wish, right? Let's just say you, Ishant, you've got 4 out of 5, and I've got the last one out of 5,
fallen.
right? Actually, that's a sucker punch, man. You should know that. You
Oh,
wrote
right.
the book
Yeah,
about
that's the sucker punch. Yeah.
So why it's a sucker punch is because that one NFT that I hold, and you hold 4 out of 5, that one NFT is more valuable to you, much more valuable to you
than anyone else
on the platform, because you're trying to get the mystery gift. And because of that and the battle bidding process, it's presumably only going to be you and maybe just a few other people, and the value of that NFT therefore is very much diminished from what it achieved previously or could have achieved if it was not the sucker punch. Most likely that NFT could be sent off site to sites like OpenSea or Wax or even Christie's or wherever. Which basically means
to the biggest bidder instead of battle bidding auction. Yep.
That's right. So effectively what that means is that last NFT is burned on our platform. And since you have 4 out of 4, that's the new set. The new set amount is now 4 out of 4. You get your mystery gift straight away. And one thing we haven't spoken about is the relisting process. So you can, once you've achieved the mystery gift and your degree, you can basically put it back out there in a relisting process for other people to sort of battle out, right, and get that NFT. But the same thing would happen if you had 3 out of 4 in a set of 4, right? So the last one is still the sucker punch, and that goes off the platform. And then a 2 out of 3, the last one basically goes off the platform, and you're left with 2 out of 2, which you can get a mystery gift there, right?
Right.
And based on that,
but you can't get a degree with 2 out of 2 though,
because you can't get a simple majority, right? Like it's 3 out of 5, 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3, and now you're left with 2 out of 2. And these 2 are called the fortunate twins. And the fortunate twins, because I only need 1 more from you to complete and get my mystery gift.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that last one is trucked off the platform, that's called a fallen, because you can't do anything with it. You can't complete a set. You can't get a degree. There's just 1 left on the platform. And it's very likely that it gets sent off platform as well, right? Because it's not useful.
Or you know what, James? It could be a craze that comes up with all the fallens, and they might end up being super valuable on the platform. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right? But the 1 out of 1, well, it's just a 1, right? The thing that it does is it constantly brings attention to new NFTs, because as the NFTs find their way off platform, the new NFTs now have the attention, right? Like all the time. Like, so that process keeps happening over and over again. One last thing that I'd like to say is you've got some benefits and badges, etc. But
real fast before you move on to these, if you get 5 mystery gifts, you basically get your 5th mystery gift, which essentially means you're getting 5 degrees also at that point. Correct. You're getting a legendary mystery gift, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you might need to create a new badge for that.
Yeah, the legends, right?
Yeah.
The answer is it's a mystery gift. I'll leave it as that. Here, one of the things that's important is if, for example, you've won an NFT, it will show up here. And so you can choose your blockchain address where you'd like to transfer it to. If you want to burn it off the platform, you can download the digital files associated with it. And you can also relist it. And in the relist process, we have a reserve price and a minimum amount of seats that you have for it to go ahead. So the reserve price is met by all of these people that are basically at the paywall. They're asked, hey, you need to put 40 buns in this example to actually go. And that 40 buns is escrowed from your account, and it waits until the reserve price is met. Once the reserve price is met, all the escrows go into the auction, and the auction starts battle bidding style again. Right? It's a really like straightforward process. You set your reserve price, how many people you want at the seat at the table, the minimum amount. You get a joining fee per member, released, and it's done, right? It goes back into the upcoming, waiting for a spot to free up. Boom, frees up, goes into the arena.
Now other people try to get those sets.
Yeah, and that, I think we went into the entire platform now. And again, there's, I don't know, like this one is the battle bidding arena where people bid live. That's your favorites list. That's things waiting to go into the arena. My NFTs, you just saw it. The wallet page is like a transaction history page, and profile, anyone knows what profile is. So there's only those sort of sections up here that allows people to actually, you know, interact with the platform. So that's why I'm saying that when you come in for the first time, all of these would probably be unlit. You wouldn't have won anything, so that's not here. Here's just a transaction history of your relisted NFTs if you pressed relisted. And the only page really that you can interact in is the wallet, the profile, I'm not quite sure what you're going to do, and the battle bidding arena. So all of that complexity is actually hidden for the user just to focus themselves on this page right here. Now, I'm happy to answer any questions and Shubham and all that from the artists page.
At the end of the day, the users make it as complicated as they want it to be.
Exactly. Like we just provide you with one arena page and a battle bidding, the NFTs and all of the stuff in the back. You bid, you get, you relist, you choose whether you want to, you know, complete sets. And if you go down the rabbit hole trying to understand the platform, it'll take you a long time, like, you know, because there's so many interactions there.
It could be anywhere from going and bidding one button, hoping to get lucky, to strategizing and having different team plays that I'm going to ask you about in a second. Yeah, so basically the user can make it as complicated as they want. And I feel like this thing can really get addictive for certain people.
Well, hopefully they, you know, from I know what you're meaning because I saw this in your book about the team plays. Know that team plays are against our rules, right? Where an individual, individual member comes in and bid there. But one of the things that I really wanted to solve right at the start was the artist's road or creator's road to brand building. So let me just explain, and I think this was when I called Lance and I said, I'll just stop sharing this. That's when I called Lance and I said, you know, I'm in, because normally what happens in a traditional process, and Shubham, you know, is part of this world, so you can, you know, add in whatever you need, is you've got to create brand. You've got to create brand, which basically means you go through your marketers, your critics, your gallerists, your schmoozing, all of that stuff, right? Because without that, your brand does not command attention. And if your brand doesn't command attention, you're not going to have many bidders for it. The value that your artwork can achieve or your creation can achieve is less, so on and so forth, right? So the way that I'm a very mathematical kind of guy. The way that I looked at the problem was brand value of artwork or creation equals your brand footprint plus your talent. Except the brand footprint is much more important in this game than your talent at the end of the day, right? So what I needed to do was to break that equation so that we could break out artists, whether they're known, like unknown, anywhere in the world, etc. And this is what we came up with. The first thing is, when you look at an auction on Loot NFT, obviously the item itself has an intrinsic value, right? Whether it's a model of some sort, etc. That's the first thing, and maybe people are bidding to get that intrinsic value of the artwork. They like the talent, right? The second thing that dilutes this traditional means is that you've got gamers now or players trying to collect sets. So the value now is increased by how much activity people are trying to do, trying to have in order to collect these sets. So that's the second thing which doesn't really exist out there. The third thing is that you can have influencers or brand or creators that now can involve people from their family, their followers, etc., to vote for them, so that their brand now, or that piece of artwork or creation can now break through. So when you add, the intrinsic value of the artwork plus the gamified dynamics of people trying to collect set, get mystery gifts, degrees, etc., plus the value that we're giving for mom and dads and people that support these guys to come through, suddenly what you've done is you've disassociated the value from the traditional method of what used to be done. So what we've done is we've compressed the brand, how artists or creators achieve brand in a very, very single moment at an auction. Because once a creator, say, achieves a $10,000 painting or $20,000 painting out there or something else, they now have a mark for saying, my creation now achieved X. So this is, now I can break out and now I can do the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So once, I think for me, when I really got engaged in this project in mid-March, it was that realization that we could fundamentally transform the way that artist brands or creators brands get built. Lance and Shubham, if you have anything to add to this.
I think you really were spot on the branding side and how it's difficult to really make your mark as an artist in the art world and auctions, etc. Yeah, but I think this platform would encourage even new people to really get into art and try to express themselves. So that's also what it does. And in Mauritius, it's quite. It's very difficult to really break through and getting on Loot NFT. I think it's gonna make you global and really self-brand the artist on the platform. Yeah.
Lance,
James, you said it at the very beginning. This concept and platform solves several problems, not just from the consumer side, but also the producer side. Whether it's the artist or the people trying to win the art, it's always been in a very elitist activity in the past. The elite got to showcase their artwork and the elite got to purchase the artwork, but the masses were locked out. And this platform solves that, separate from all the fancy gamification and the entertainment and the engagement and the blockchain. And it's just two fundamental problems that are solved just brilliantly with this. And so, and I don't say that because it was, I came up with a very, very, very general idea and you actually made it a functional platform. It's pretty magical how all this has come together.
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm so glad you guys brought this up, because I was actually going to ask you to develop a little bit on it, because there's a whole section in my book, a very important section about it. I think that this value creation for artists is we've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, and that's why we call ourselves, we'd like to call ourselves the world's first NFT talent show, because we don't necessarily need those the creators that that already have a brand. What we're focused on is unearthing real talent in hard to reach places that can basically have a trampoline for their careers and for their talent, really. Looking at the African continent, which, by the way, our statistics from people hitting our website is Africa and Asia right now, right? And I suspect, and I don't know for sure, but I suspect the reason why that is previously, let's just take a number out of thin air. If you wanted to get $1 million artwork or $1 million creation or something like this, you needed to come up with $1 million. mom and pops, influencers, followers, people that are trying to support you, they were locked out because you have to bring the money to the table. Whereas for us, what we've done with the one bun at a time, mom and pop and followers of influencers and people anywhere can vote with one bun for their support for that artist. It doesn't matter where you are. So what we've effectively done is made auctions available to anyone on the planet, irrespective of their purchasing power. And to me, that resonates a lot with me, because that is one way that now that there's a level playing field, that anyone can participate, use skill, and understand that this is an auction for them, almost like a discounted NFT, but where they can actually unlock the value and be part of this global movement. Because right now, like, how do you buy a $2.3 million Elon Musk tweet, right? Tweet NFT. You got to come up with a $2.3 million. But with us, you don't actually have to. So all of the forgotten people from around the world that could not participate in the future of technology, in the future of NFTs, in the future of fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens, etc., they now have a spot at the table. And I think that's for me, that's a huge driver of the things that we do.
Right. It limits it levels the playing field for the average person, and the guy sitting with $1 million in his bank account. And I think that ties into the maximum bun limit that you have per account also, where someone can't just come on the platform and buy, let's say, 200,000, 300,000, or let's say 1 million buns, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, Lance, you want to handle the 50, that question?
Yeah, no, Ishant, you nailed it. People can't just come and monopolize all the bid units or buns on the platform. We've put it at a reasonable amount, and people can replenish to that 50,000 bun maximum at any time and as many times as they like. But you can't just come in and overwhelm an auction with bids, because you have to use one bid at a time. You have to be outbid before you can use another one, and it's so much different than, somebody with incredibly deep pockets just walking into an auction and just simply overpowering everybody else and just buying that piece. And like you outline in your book, there's strategy, there's skill, there's timing, there's gamification, there's science. All that goes into it so that anybody can win this item and participate. So yeah, all great points in your book.
Thank you. All right. Well, if you have anything else to say, James, I have a few last questions that might not necessarily want to answer, but I'll still ask them. So, if you can say anything about buns being taken off platform, traded off site in a secondary like market, or
that's James.
I'd hope you wouldn't have asked the question, but I think since you did, look, we don't talk about anything happening, secondary market wise, etc. Our purpose is really simple, from allowing those funds to be extracted to the custody of a user to their own wallets. And I can sum it up like this, and this is a personal sort of point of view that is important to me. A few years back, I was, along with, I think, over 100 million Americans were taken in the Experian hack, I think, right? Where my personal data, was obviously hacked and out there. This is a piece of digital information that links to me. There was no need for this to happen. And even now, I mean, if I had my personal information, for example, in an NFT, right? My own personal information, my date of birth, all of the stuff that I needed, even my credit report in an NFT. When I need to interact with a bank, I could simply push that NFT to them to verify what it is, right? Like, this is what blockchain technology and decentralization allows you to do. And from a security perspective, what it does is it doesn't create a honeypot for hackers to hack in, because now if everyone has an NFT with all their credit reports, etc., held by themselves, they'd be able to effectively interact with whoever by pushing the information to them. So you couldn't, to replicate this hack, you'd have to hack 100 million people individually, personally. So what we did, and the decision that we took to allow bonds obviously to be extracted off the platform, since we are effectively driving towards a completely decentralized platform over time. People should check our timeline. What we effectively said was we should allow, there is no reason why our members or our users shouldn't be able to extract those bonds in their own custody for their own security, like it's in there. They don't have to trust on our security protocols. They can extract it to themselves. Unfortunately, the byproduct of this is that it can allow peer-to-peer transfers off platform to occur. This is not our aim, and this is not, like, we understood the implication of this, but this is not our aim is not to have the bonds off platform, obviously, because our aim is to have the bonds being used in an auction.
Right, because effectively they need to recirculate for Loot NFT too.
That's right. So it's not our. We went very, very deep in terms of the mechanics of things. We don't talk about it simply because it's what we want is people to use the bonds on our platform. And secondly, in this industry, words are twisted, are amplified, are used in speculative context, and it's better not to say anything about this rather than your words being taken and twisted and all that, and basically false or misleading or speculative information comes out that we don't intend to do. We're simply allowing users to custody their own bonds if they choose to, or leave it on our platform if they choose to. Providing that choice is important. It's a personal thing for me to be able to say to a user, your digital piece of information should be yours to own, not somebody else to use. That makes sense. Does that answer your question? So that's as far as I'm going to go into that line of questioning.
Makes sense, and I totally get it. All right, well, if you guys have anything else you guys want to add, go for it. Otherwise, I think we've covered every base that we needed to cover today, and I think that's gonna provide enough material for future users and future legends of Loot NFT, basically to make a killing.
That's right.
Ishant, thank you for putting this together today. We enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Ishant. I think Shubham, you had one last thing you wanted to say. I saw you.
Yeah, I think thank you, Ishant, for really for the opportunity to just talk about it. And we've worked so many hours on this, and now we just see everything in a short call, and it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, and I say, yeah, thanks Ishant, like, for your effort, and putting this together, your interest in our platform and what we've been doing. I know it's only been 2.5 months since we started, but what we achieved in a very short period of time was meshing all of the pieces that I thought, or that we thought as a team, were important, bring together team members, etc. And our goal is to run a business. We're not in this, we're adequately funded. We're in there for the long haul. We're patient business people. And for us, it's, take one step at a time, ensure that the customers or our users and members are happy. It's for our users to really find an engaging platform. In the process, if we can provide another alternative to artists to break out, and it's fantastic. I think we would have achieved our goal. We have last thing that I want to say is we have a timeline of from where we are today, which is based on us doing real business things rather than promising, etc. Like, we want to focus first making sure that our interactions are okay, we listen to the members and the users, then we go in step. Like, we're not patient, like we're not trying to get anywhere, like, and put so much pressure and get anywhere very, very quickly because we have to on an arbitrary deadline. We're infinitely patient in business. And I think that, once we see the interaction on the platform, it'll guide us over the long run. But yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Maybe last thing, I mentioned at the start of this call that Loot NFT is basically changing the way businesses work. Maybe you want to say a little something about the decentralized autonomous organization, the DAO, for blockchain enthusiasts. Maybe very briefly, so we don't go too in depth.
It's like you're saying, can you briefly talk about, how the enterprise space on Star Trek is built? I can provide you a little bit of a summary. So effectively, when we launch, we're a centralized platform. We haven't even talked about this, but we've built our own permission blockchain to allow the interactions to be tracked, recorded, audited, etc. And we've minted the buns on the Cardano blockchain. We haven't even talked about Cardano, and I think we might basically come back for another one, Ishant.
Right, we should have another call probably.
Yeah. That component, because that component is massive in itself. But when we launch what we want to make sure is we've got a very stable platform. People are enjoying, like, we listen, we see. In October, buns are going to be allowed to be extracted, at least that's our estimate, to be extracted to the Cardano ecosystem. Buns are minted on Cardano. At the same time, our permission blockchain is running right under all of that, so you can be sure that all these interactions are blockchain audited. And then very slowly we start creating smart contracts on our own blockchain, as well as the Cardano blockchain. And we haven't even talked about this, but I think we did. The patent pending process is how we merge and we bridge a public blockchain to a permission blockchain, our permission blockchain. So the Cardano blockchain and our blockchain in a bi-directional bridge that starts decentralizing every single element of our platform into what people call a decentralized autonomous organization. The reason why we need the permission blockchain is because one bun or one bit at a time of a very low value on the mainnet, on Cardano's mainnet, is essentially very likely going to cause bloating. The transaction fees might be up. There's some nuances there that the Cardano does things very differently from the Ethereum blockchain, but I'm not going to go into that. But effectively, we use our own permission blockchain for very, very fast transaction during the bidding process at a fixed cost, which we take into account ourselves. It's a proof of authority permission blockchain. And then certain things that we do on the Cardano blockchain as well, some interactions, how it works is certain interactions, certain modules can be handled by the Cardano blockchain. Others will have to handle. The bidirectional bridge keeps an accounting and makes sure that whatever we're doing on our side is replicated on the other side, through time lock wallets, etc. But the aspect of the whole thing is to drive to a system that over time provides a novel exit strategy for business. How I mean this is the goal, from a blockchain perspective, the goal is to have a member governance infrastructure, a foundation ultimately, and the blockchain become the operational unit of our platform. And the way that we achieve this is, very clearly documented, both in our patent pending process, as well as, the timelines and some of the things that we put out there in terms of information, to effectively arrive at the end where we, as the owners or initiators of this company or of this process and this business, gets removed from the day-to-day operation perspective, allow these member governance foundation blockchain to take over the operation and get paid out of the activity that's happening on the platform, almost like a royalty. So the big, huge picture around there is what we're trying to do is to say, you don't necessarily have to sell your company. You can benefit from it like families, have benefited from oil and gas as a natural resource and, royalty and over mineral rights over a period of time. But instead of being oil and gas, now it's the meshing of humans and technology that's producing this quasi-natural resource. This provides business owners and people starting their own businesses, etc., if they frame it in the right way, for creating that natural resource from a technology perspective, which I find vastly interesting and obviously not enough time to talk about right now.
At that point, it will be managed by the members of the platform. Right?
Effectively, the members, there's some functionalities that can't be managed by the members. So what we have is a series of smart contracts that over time we will start releasing on Cardano and on the Cardano blockchain. And what it is you've got some parameters that can be changed in that smart contract, which will be linked to the members' governance, and some parameters that cannot be changed out there. So the system still needs to be maintained, and for that we are, what we want to do is to entrust that to a foundation rather than the company. And I suppose at that point, our addresses, our public addresses are included in the smart contract to get that royalty out of member participation. The blockchain itself basically, operates within the smart contract environment. The foundation is there to keep an eye over the physical items, custody, maybe software development, keys to release, etc. And the members can choose which way they want to take this platform to suit them over time. They can vary and invite fee from 1 bun to 10 buns if they want to, etc. So that's the big picture.
I think that's an amazing part of Loot NFT, and I think we should definitely try to meet up again and talk more in depth about this, because this, to me, it changes it could possibly change the way businesses are built and are run effectively.
Yeah. That's my that's the icing on the cake. If we can get there and show a path to other businesses that it can be done in this way, then I think we would have achieved all of the goals that we set ourselves. There is a very long way to get to that, though, because we understand the complexities of technology and all the bits and pieces that need to come together in order to make that happen. And do you have any? I think I've been talking most of the time. Do you have anything to say on the DAO and Cardano, maybe?
Yeah, no, I think Cardano, like James said, could be a call in and of itself. But the fact that we're using Cardano's native tokens to start off with, as we might migrate into the DAO and the smart contracts, also having shared a common vision of what this could do in some of those places like Africa and Mauritius and in Asia, some of those places that wouldn't have these opportunities, as we level the playing field for both the user and the producer. It makes them a tremendous partner for us. So we're looking forward to discuss that, I guess, in more detail at a later date.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys. And I guess we'll wrap this up here. And thank you for sharing this amazing vision. Thank you for building this amazing game, this amazing business, and I can't wait for the launch.